So today, what I'm going to be discussing is what we're trying to do with our feet. One of the basic fundamentals of what I teach is making sure that every blow that we throw has a pretty high percentage of being successful in one way or another. Throwing from a good position is key. Being balanced, being able to transmit that mass we were talking about, being able to generate the energy that you need in order to land an effective blow. If our feet are all over the place, if we have no idea what we're doing with our feet at the time, that can detract, it can cause us all sorts of problems and issues. It will not set us up for success. I mean, that's the one thing about your feet. You want to use your feet to set yourself up for the greatest chance of success. Being in position, being balanced, being in control. And it's important to remember that when we're standing out here and we're just training on the pelt, that it's great. If I'm just standing here and I'm just throwing my blows, that's fine. But I'm not thinking about what it is I'm doing with my feet. I'm not thinking about where they are in relation to my target. I'm not teaching myself and teaching my muscles and my sense of awareness of where I should be in relation to my target. One of the biggest mistakes I find when I'm watching new students as they go out and they start to work and they try to work with a live opponent is that with every blow they throw, I'm just going to get set up here, with every blow they throw, like, it could be just beautiful, right? But for some reason, they do this. Now you notice what I just did. I stepped into my target. Okay? Now at this position what happens is that rather than stepping back, right, and getting back into measure with their target, getting into that strike zone, controlling their distance, they'll sit there and they'll get into here, and then for some reason they want to bring this foot forward. And look where I am now in relation to my target. Now maybe that's a little bit exaggerated because I'm working with a Pell right now, but how do I throw an effective blow from here? If I use my body, look what happens. I'm out here. The only blows I'm limited to are striking with the false edge of my sword or possibly over into here. But even there, I'm having to torque myself so far over that I actually can feel it. It hurts a little bit, right? All of a sudden, I'm in a very bad place to make this thing effective. I make a joke of it. You've heard me refer to fighting like a T-Rex from time to time, where I'm like in here, right? Not a good place. What I'm doing with my feet is so important. The other thing I watch, right, is somebody be fighting and their feet are all over. Call them happy feet, right? Why are your feet happy? Well, I'm happy to be out here. Okay. Did you know you were doing that with your feet? Doing what? A lot of times what will happen is I'll be showing a student a video of how they look on the field, right, what they're doing, right, and they're like shaking their heads and looking at the video and going, I don't remember doing that, right? What was I doing? What was I thinking? And there's the key. They don't know what it is they're doing with their feet. So when I'm working, I'll get out here, I'll get myself into position, I'll get myself square to the thread. We talk about that a lot, right? And I'll think about, when I get started, I'll get that basic feel going, and then I'll start moving in relation to my target. I'll move my leg around. I'll just start with that. How did that feel? Where was my foot? How did my body feel as it was trying to transmit the energy from that position? Right? Getting used to that spot, right where you want to be. Learning to move my platform, this part of my body, around to the positions I can strike from. Being in touch with where my feet are. Right, what I'm doing, what I can do from those positions. What can I do from here? Like out here, we know I'm out of measure. Right, I can't strike. I'm sitting out here, right? Right, so without a step, I can't get in. So what will happen is if I start a blow out here, right, I know I'm going to miss. But if I step with the blow, I can land it. Now what I'm going to do with my feet, again, I have choices, but I have to know when I land my foot here, what is my distance? What's the measure? What am I doing in here, right, in relation to my target, my body? How am I staying in position where I can use my body effectively? So think about your foot position. What are you doing? When I work around the Pell, you've watched me do it. Now I exaggerate my movements. I'm not moving at top speed, but I will move very deliberately around my target. I'm not doing little kind of weird steps, right? I don't want to be doing that. It looks silly, right? You saw that. It looks silly, right? So what I want to do is move deliberately, effectively, listening to my body as I'm moving around, to what it's doing from that position, what I can do from those positions, how it affects my body mechanics. And when you're working at the Pell, deliberate movements, maybe even, like I say, exaggerated movements. Because when I go to speed, if I'm out on the, actually I'm armored up, I'm on the field, I am not moving at these kind of speeds. I may be moving much, much faster, much tighter, right? Shorter steps, right? And moving my feet, as you can see the dust flying, right? In ways that are much, much tighter. As I said earlier, what I try to do, and not all the time I can do it completely and 100% accurately, but I'm always going to try to lead whichever is my lead foot, is pointed in the direction of my target, pointed in the direction of travel, right? Because if I'm going to walk in, right, I'm going to strike in, I'm going to be moving in this direction. And then I'm pointing again. My foot is pointing towards my target. If I'm going to move over there, again, move to here. My lead foot is pointing at my target. Right? If I want to move over that way, right, I'll come into here. My foot, again, changes, travels in. But you notice I'm not taking little baby steps to do that. Most of the time when I'm facing an opponent, there's a term that I like, which is they walk into their own deaths. And that's basically someone who starts way out here and they just walk in. And all I've got to do is watch what they're doing. They'll just walk right into a position that I like. And if they're standing up in here and they're walking in here, what I'll do is I'll just throw my leg out to the side and I'll throw up and out to the outside. Because I know what to do with my legs. So sometimes just walking around your post in a drill. Always, whatever foot is lead, see that you make sure that you're trying to keep it in line with your Pell post. Whatever the lead leg is, try to point it in that direction. See how it feels. Listen to what your hip is saying, what your body is telling you. And again, the other thing is my distance. Where am I in relation to my target? Where do I need to be in relation to that target in order to strike it? Seems like a real boring exercise. But it is so important. We need to know where our feet are. We also need to have them under control, because throwing off balance, where you're not getting a proper transmission into your weapon, is a wasted shot. It means nothing to what you're trying to bring to the game. So, think about that. Where are my feet? What are they doing? What am I trying to do with them? Where am I in relation to my target? What's the distance? Where's my edge of measure? Where is it that I can't strike my opponent without a step? That's the edge of measure for this weapon, is that right now I can just touch. So I'm at the edge. If I step out, I am out of measure. I can't strike unless I step. But I need to have control of these feet in order to stay there. Now when I get here, what do I need to do to stay there? Put a line, put a circle, put a series of circles. I mean, if you're working on pavement, hell, get some chalk. Mark the line. If you're working on grass, lay down some string or some rope, or make a mark on the grass with something, right? Have something that gives you some orientation of, oh, why am I in here? There's my line back here. Have something that tells you where you are in relation to your target. Teach yourself. And then once you've been able to do that out of armor, get into your armor and do the same thing, because that changes the way things work. I mean, that's one thing I always say is, if you're going to do Pell work, yeah, it's all great. I'm 210 pounds, 206 pounds out of armor. Now, if I add 30, 40, 50 pounds of extra gear onto me, all of a sudden that's going to change how far I step, how much energy. I'm going to need to put more energy into my body to get the same distance with my feet. Really important. There's another thing you can do. I'm going to talk about it briefly because as those who are following know, my hip is not great. Right? But when I'm down in here, it's the same thing. If I'm back, right? Where's my effective position? Where do I want to be in relation to my target when I'm throwing shots? Now in the SCA we fight from our knees. Okay? In almost all other Western martial arts that I participate in, this is never done. Okay? But for those of us who do participate in the society, and the society style of combat, then this is important. Right? Where I am in relation to my target, how can I throw an effective blow from this position, staying in position. Now, being down on your knees doesn't mean I'm stuck. I mean, I can move back. You know, I can move around my target if I want to. The same things apply. Right? I cannot throw an effective shot if I'm leaning too far back. It's hard. So I need to know where my foundation is. Where am I? How am I moving around? What is my effective distance? Again, where am I? This is going to be a lot shorter. Even though the weapon is longer, I can't reach as far. So something to think about. And for those that are wondering, yes, we will be doing, specifically for society combat, we will be doing a bunch of stuff about what I think works, or at least works for me and my students, from their knees. Okay. I think that's pretty much it for this segment. And my thoughts are on basic footwork. Control your feet and be aware of where you are. Spatial awareness is so important. Where your feet are is critical to being successful. Being able to move to a point of opportunity, it's so difficult if our feet are in the wrong spot. If we don't know what they're doing, if they're pointing in the wrong direction, and all of a sudden you want to twist back and go do something in the opposite direction, it's almost impossible unless you know where you are and what your feet are doing. So, as important as good sword work is, equally important, even more so, is what we are doing with our feet. So whatever style it is that you prefer, what you like to do, make sure your feet are where you think they are and where you want them to be to do what you're doing. And so with that, the important thing today, again and every day, even though I'm not shooting video every day, is to make sure you get your shots in. Get your 100 in. Work those muscles. Work the coordination. Work your plan. Think about what it is you want to be working on. Exaggerate your movements if you want. Tighten them if you want. Speed them up if you want. The important thing is get out here, do the work. What we do is not easy. If it was easy, everybody would be a superstar. But don't give up on your dreams. Listen to your body. Be effective. And remember why it is we do this. For the joy of the game. So that's it from the pit for this exercise. Remember, you can hit subscribe if you want to catch our updates, and if you want to support us as we move forward, doing more video, doing more things, check us out on Patreon and throw us some support. Anyway, that's it for today. As always, fight well, my friends.